Here we go.
Hello and welcome to Leaders Worldwide. I'm so excited. We have an amazing presenter today in our keynote and DTM showdown presenter and all sorts of things going on and table topics. It's going to be a really fun day. So I first want to open with, I'm Cynthia Stott. I'm the president and one of the sponsors of Leaders Worldwide. And I want to read what Toastmasters International mission is, our core values, the club mission, and our own Leaders Worldwide, what we were designed for. The Toastmasters International, we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Our core values are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Our club mission is to provide supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And here at Leaders Worldwide, we were designed for politicians, business and nonprofit leaders, entrepreneurs, and others who want to make their message heartfelt, authentic, and ready for the worldwide stage. And boy, are we ready to do that. We're going to be launching a TEDx event in the next few months. And we are excited about that for our members and for any guests who want to give a TEDx event. You want to talk with me about that and see how you can apply. And mostly you're going to need to become a member of Leaders Worldwide. And then we're going to have an audition within our membership for our TEDx speakers and how long they should speak, that sort of thing. So great. I'm so happy that we have some guests here today. First, we have Sky Nelson Isaacs, who is our keynote speaker. Hi, Sky. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here and see your faces again. And thank you for having me. So happy to be here.
Thank you, Sky.
Thank you. And we also have Raghunanda, DTM Raghunanda, who's part of our DTM showdown. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm a nomadic Toastmaster joining from India today. Thank you.
Nomadic Toastmaster. I love it. Beautiful. And Moise name. Did you say it name or neem? Moise.
Naeem, maybe?
Naeem.
Ah, Naeem. Okay, maybe he's away from his microphone. If you wanted to say hi to everyone. And he's from Karachi Toastmasters, right, Tala?
Yeah, he's actually from a club called CA Toastmasters Club Karachi. He's the VP Education of that club.
Great. And he heard that Sky Nelson is going to be an amazing keynote, I imagine. And he also wants to see you too, Tala.
No, he must be overdosed on me. So no, I don't have.
I'm sorry, Naeem, is that how you say it? Moise Naeem? He wrote in the task, hello, everyone. And he's visiting with family and friends right now, so he won't be able to be on mute. I mean, on audio or camera. Okay, great. Well, we're going to start. Oh, I also posted in the chat. Let me read that for you. That dues are due. Twice a year they're due. And you can pay through PayPal link there. There's a paypalme.com, PayPal me link for you to pay. Or you can pay for a full year with your credit card and skip the club dues and fees. So you can call me or Linda Patton and we will get you signed up. Great. So without further ado, who's our Toastmaster for today?
That would be me, Isaac.
Isaac! Oh, yay! Is this your first time at Leaders Worldwide? Doing
Yes.
Toastmaster of the Day?
Yes.
No, it's not. I don't
In the
believe it
main
is.
room.
I believe you've done it once
He said-
before.
He's
Oh,
done it in
okay.
the speechcraft, but not in the
That's my memory, but
Oh,
You're
You know
probably
better,
right.
Isaac.
Absolutely.
First or second time. Yeah, we're really
Okay.
honored and happy
Yes,
to
we
have
are.
you here. You're a member of our Speechcraft, and you've done it in the Speechcraft, I know. And
Yes.
you're a seasoned Toastmaster.
Yes,
So we're
I'm-
really glad to have you as the Toastmaster of the day. Take it away.
Great. Thank you, Cynthia, and welcome to everyone. Our theme today is envisioning the future. And I'd like to paraphrase something I've heard from Les Brown years ago. And he basically said that if you do things today that others won't do, you will have things tomorrow that others won't have. And that is so true in
Yes.
today's world for sure. So we have functionaries to keep the meeting going on time. And one of the functionaries is our general evaluator, who is Linda Patton. I'd like to throw the virtual lectern over to you, Linda.
Oh, I got it, Isaac. Thank you so very much. Greetings to all of you, visitors and members of Leaders Worldwide. I have the honor today to be the general evaluator, which means basically that I get to evaluate the meeting as a whole. That includes the evaluators of the various people who are speaking. I also would like to introduce the grammarian who's not here.
Who's not here because she's sick, but I can count the words of the days. I'm probably not going to count your ums and ahs because I've got lots going behind the scenes.
We have Rosemary Sweeney has come to
Wow!
honor us. I'm
Would
so
she-
happy.
Wow.
I wonder if you are available, Rosemary, to step in and serve as grammarian.
She may be at work.
She probably is. I'm so happy
You're
to
so
have
right.
you.
I'm just following the meeting.
Okay, so happy
Okay.
to have you, Rosemary.
Welcome.
I hope
Yeah.
you'll enjoy yourself.
So happy. So
are we using her or not?
No, she's at work. She's just going to listen to the meeting. So I'll follow the words of the day, but I won't. I probably won't count all your ums and ahs.
Well, if they represent fantastic Toastmasters, which they all do, no
Yes.
one will have an ah, an or
Yeah,
any
that's
other,
right. We'll get a
any
clean
other
slate.
strange words that come out of our mouths. Excuse me. And ahs, like that one, as I'm trying to clear my throat. Also, we have
vision-
a timer. I'm sorry.
Okay, and I'll be counting your word of the day, which is vision. I can do that.
Thank you,
Vision.
Cynthia. I appreciate that. And our timer, it's very important in Toastmasters meetings that everyone is on time, as Victor was saying earlier, well, before the meeting actually started. And our timer for today is Ms. Catherine Peel.
And I will just let you know quickly that this is what it looks like when you are 2 minutes before the you know the drill. This is the green. This means that you have spoken for sufficient time, and that's usually 2 minutes before your end. This is the yellow. That's what the yellow looks like 1 minute later. This is the red when it's time to stop. And our keynote speech is up to 15 minutes. So that will be 13, 14, and 15. Back to you, Madam.
Very good, Mrs.
General
Peel, very good.
Evaluator.
Thank you so very much, Kathleen. It is delightful to have you as the timer. And when we open the table topics, you'll tell us about table topics and the evaluations themselves. Okay, fantastic. At which point I am now going to turn it back to our Toastmaster of the day, Isaac Ford.
Great. Thank you, Linda.
Let's do this.
So we are fortunate to have a great keynote speaker today. Sky Nelson Isaacs is a physicist, speaker, musician, educator, and author. His books, Living in Flow and Leap to Wholeness, build a foundation for a synchronicity-based social operating system. His organization, the Synchronicity Institute, engages in research and training on wholeness, synchronicity, and flow. He has a MS in physics from San Francisco State University. And if you'd like more information, I'll post it in the chat how you can get in touch with him. Now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Sky Isaac Nelson. Over to you, Sky.
Thank you, Isaac. It's great to be here. Thank you, everybody, for having me in your meeting and deliver what I hope is a very uplifting, inspirational view of envisioning the future, how we can connect the dots, not only looking backwards, but also maybe looking forwards to create that beautiful future of equity and justice and beauty and sustainability that I think we all crave. So happy to be here. And we're going to start off with a reflection on Steve Jobs, a big influential figure in the 20th century. Before he dropped out of college, he started taking classes that were not really aligned with where he was supposed to be going in life, where his parents thought he was going. He took a class in calligraphy, which wasn't, the typical path. And then he dropped out of college altogether and started Apple Computer in the basement of his garage. And he said, looking back on this experience at the commencement address at Stanford in 2005, he said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, your destiny, life, karma, whatever. He was saying you can pick what you trust in, but you got to trust in something because it's going to work out. It's going to align. Those dots will connect. And so what my question is, can we only look back and see that? Or can we see that unfolding as it happens? Can we notice those events that are occurring in our lives with some prescience or some faith? And then intelligently weave our actions together to make things connect. And so we're going to talk about how maybe it's your gut, maybe it's destiny, maybe it's life, maybe it's karma. I'm going to say synchronicity. And we get to understand synchronicity or meaningful coincidences from my research in wholeness. So I started asking myself this question about wholeness when I was about 18 in college, because I read a book on holograms called The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. And it asked this basic question: can things always be broken into separate parts? So much of our world view today is based upon looking at things from the outside and examining something from a removed perspective. And that means I'm separate from the thing I'm observing. Or look at chemistry. Chemistry is all about breaking everything down into these little pieces, and they can all be described individually. But there are certain things in life, including society, which cannot be described from its separate parts. You have to understand the whole picture. And I was looking for places that this is true in physical science as well. And I discovered something that was known already to many folks, but it was new to me, called the hologram. And the hologram really shows us this new way of looking at space and time, which is not reductionist, which is not separating everything into pieces and observing from the outside, but there's the macrocosm is within the microcosm. In other words, the big picture is present in every little picture. And to me, this reflected the wisdom that I read in many traditions, spiritual traditions and religious traditions, wisdom traditions, that each of us contains a piece of the whole. And we might attribute that to a spiritual experience of God, or we can, by taking a piece of film and exposing it to light in the presence of an object like the tree, and shining, bouncing light off the tree and capturing it on the hologram. And then once I have this hologram, I can shine a laser on it and it will show me the image of the tree that was there originally. And it's amazing because this tree is not just a picture of a tree, like a photograph. Everyone's familiar with photographs. It's like no big deal now, right? They were invented 150 years ago. But a hologram is three-dimensional. So you got the depth in there as well. It looks very realistic. But here's the really cool thing. When you break a hologram into pieces, If you break a photograph into pieces, each piece of the photograph has a different part of the tree, right? If you break a hologram into pieces, every piece of the hologram has the whole tree. So I can shine a laser through one little piece of the hologram and I'll see an image of the tree. Now I'm not going to see as if it was the whole hologram. What I'm going to lose is resolution. What I'm going to lose is perspective. So by shining the laser on the top portion of the hologram, I get the view of the tree from a certain angle with a blurriness to it. If I shine it on the bottom piece, I'm going to see the tree from a different angle with a certain blurriness. And I think this is the way we are as well. We come at the world with a picture of the whole and a conclusion about how the world works. Each of us has those conclusions, where we form those conclusions from our experiences that we pick up from our life. And yet, our view is perspective. It has a certain perspective and has a certain blurriness. And it's by coming into contact with other people, other perspectives that are different from ours, that we start to form a whole, more complete, less blurry, more resolved picture, like that original tree that was there. So wholeness is this beautiful, fundamental reality to the cosmos that invites us to understand the importance of not only the view that we have as being part of a reflection of the whole, but also only a part that needs other parts in order to be complete, in order to be more resolved and clear. We need each other's perspectives in order to get a bigger picture. So I've talked with a lot of people about this concept of wholeness because I think it's just maybe this key piece that we don't understand when we look at the world from this reductionist view in science. And wholeness has a lot of different perspectives for people. I've heard people say wholeness is the opportunity to be all the things we want to be. Wholeness is equal access to information. Wholeness is restorative justice and healing trauma. Wholeness is the opposite of shame. Wholeness is the opportunity to develop curiosity instead of your resume. Wholeness is reaching for great achievements instead of just being consumers. Wholeness is accepting and incorporating all the parts into a whole. And wholeness is accepting someone's story at face value. And so it's my hope that as we understand the science of space and time a little bit more holistically, without defaulting to this notion of separation, that we actually also develop more capacity for these things, for developing curiosity in life, for accepting and incorporating all parts into a whole and accepting someone's story at face value. And as we do this more, we start to create the world, make choices which create the world that we want to create. So let me tell you an example of why I think this works. And when my view is that wholeness can transform human nature through a scientific understanding of our connectedness, so we can have open conversations about polarization, privilege, equity, empowerment, justice, and climate change. So I've had these experiences which have led me to land on this perspective that synchronicity can actually connect us to this future. Last fall, I was busy trying to do a lot of logistical stuff for my business and do some writing and meet deadlines. And suddenly out of the blue, I got a text message from my brother. And he said, "Do you want to join our band rehearsal this week? We need a keyboard player." And I thought to myself, my first response was, you can probably guess, like, wow, that sounds amazing. Yes, I want to do that. And I had never played in a band with my brother, even though we grew up together. And yet some part of me was like, you know, I'm just too busy. I got to stay focused on my goals. This isn't going to lead anywhere. So I said no to him. But a week later, I checked in with myself in my gut, and I was like, you know, I might be missing something here. And I asked him how band rehearsal was, and he said that they canceled because they didn't have a keyboard player. And I realized that it wasn't just about me and what my goals were, but that I was part of something bigger. I was affecting them, and they weren't able to move forward without my gift. And so I'm part of this whole, not just working out my own destiny, but I'm part of a bigger destiny. And so I went to the next rehearsal, and I never looked back. I've been part of that band now for 3 or 4 months, and it's just been a big opening up for me. And the following week, I was invited to play music at my cousin's Halloween party. And I decided that time to just say yes. I just went for it because I learned my lesson, part of a bigger whole, right? So I show up at the party, and I'm immediately intimidated because there's a big room full of people I don't know at all. And there's a piano in the corner that's like hiding there. And I feel like I want to go hide. And, but the first person I meet when I walk in the door is my friend from middle school, Jean. There's no So by trusting in the stepping stones, I was able to make it through that night, make it through the following week. Another week later, I had another opportunity to play music that I actually created this one. I looked online for an opportunity to play like an open mic. I found a film screening for a Burning Man movie that was outdoors. So it was safe for me to go. And I showed up there with my guitar and just played some music in advance. And then the filmmaker came up to me and said, will you get on stage and play for the opening here? So I had half an hour of a set to play before people, and I didn't expect this at all, but it was just, I was ready to do that because I'd been taking these stepping stones one at a time to get there. So you see, we can begin to connect the dots looking forward. We have to check in with who we are, what we are intending in our lives, and what opportunities are showing up and what they could be showing us that we're not even really consciously aware of. What stops us from being consciously aware is our filters. So our filters are the way that we take the information that's coming at us and limit it. So the territory is like your real world. That's like the world you actually exist in. But the map is your own internal map of it. And this is what's called a Fourier transform. It's like the way that we, in mathematics and in computer science, we convert images into their code. But all you need to understand for this purpose is that when I apply a filter to it, I affect the image as a whole. This is where wholeness comes in. This notion that the image as a whole is affected by the filter. When I apply a filter to my mind, like my filter might be, in this case, what we call a low pass filter, I might only see the connections, like the broad strokes, and I don't see the details. Do any of you look at the world through this lens? You only see the big picture, but you have trouble seeing all the details? This is me. Okay, so mindset is a map which affects the whole territory. And my wife will tell you that, yes, it's not only in my work, it's also in my home life, in my parenting, that I miss a lot of details. It's everywhere, right? Because it's my own mindset and it shows up everywhere. And then some of you might be this opposite, this high pass filter, where you're letting through all the high frequency data, all the big details and differences between things, but you're missing the connections. And so this filter will automatically highlight every edge in the photograph. It's called the edge finder. And so if you apply this filter to your life, you're going to see all the edges, all the places where something could go wrong, but you're not going to see how it all ties together. You're not going to see the broad strokes, the big picture. And so the key here is to notice that we have these filters, and that the way we can start to build momentum toward a future that we really want for ourselves, to connect the dots moving forward, is to understand our filters and be able to see beyond them. The model that I give you today is a tree, and those apples on the tree represent the future possibilities for what you want to create, what you could create, and you're on your way there. And the synchronicities are those events up here and earlier on that happen on the way to the apples. And you make choices to get there. You make choices every step of the way to follow your heart, to follow your guide, your inner guide. And as you do this, you build momentum towards the apples. So you're always building momentum in everything you do. And the question is, are you building momentum? Are you building momentum towards the life that you want to experience by making choices from your heart and your intuition and your instinct? Or are you choosing out of a place of maybe fearfulness and caution and uncertainty? And either of those choices are going to lead to certain apples. And the question is, which apples do we want to create for ourselves? So how to connect the dots looking forward? The Lorax cycle is a process that I use to just identify the steps that can get us to those kinds of decisions. Listen to the situation you're in, open your mind, reflect. This is where you get to see, how does my brother's text message actually lead to a situation that's good for me? How does it connect to my goals and dreams? Because if I just dismiss it out of the blue, I'm never going to actually make that connection. Release my attachment to how I thought it was going to go and be open to this new idea. And from this place of listening, opening, reflecting, and releasing, then I can act, because then I'm aligned with the situation around me and the opportunities that are unfolding for me. And then never give up. Just keep going on this cycle, ready to listen at any moment. So Von Goethe said it really well. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back. Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Thank you so much. Well, there we have it, the Lorax cycle.
Great, thank you for that, Sky. Now we're going to have a 5-minute question and answer section run by Cynthia Stott. So Catherine, would you put 5 minutes on the clock? And Cynthia, over to you.
Thank you, Isaac. And thank you, Sky. Oh, another amazing keynote presentation where we learned so much. If you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat and I will read them out and get your questions answered. I want to read just a few that I put in there. Let's see. So actually, okay, hold on. I noted that you said every individual piece of the whole also contains the whole. Very deep. I love that. I love that. And then Tala bin Hamid said, what a beautiful story. Who knew advanced physics could be a blueprint for humanity? Oh, wow.
I love the way you said that, Tala. Yeah. I do think it's a blueprint. I think it's, you know, if we keep approaching the world from this perspective that is just automatic in our heads, that my space is separate from your space and my property is divided from your property, then we every choice we make is from that basis. We create the world that we have right now. But when we understand the sense of that there's a fundamental connectedness in space and time, not just philosophically, not just morally, but physically, that I think that has some implications that can really shift the way that we operate.
Yeah, I always say that we think we live in a Newtonian world where everything is solid and apple falls from tree because of gravity is just very separate and distinct. But the reality is we live in a particle physics world where everything is physically and energetically interconnected. And it's more based on probability than anything else.
And the probability, as you remember that tree picture I had, you know, every choice we make is somewhere on that tree. And, you know, I want to emphasize the importance of each choice. Each choice that we make comes from some place in ourselves. It's maybe fearful and defensive, or maybe loving and compassionate. And it's just a balance. The more we make choices from that loving and compassionate place, the more we move in that direction on the tree. And
every choice we make creates a different future. It's like those books that you want, you know, choose the ending. You go and you choose which one you want. That's really how our life is. So that's awesome. We have a couple more comments and questions. And Kathleen Peel reiterates, she says, it is glorious. Isn't it glorious? What a metaphor, that blueprint for humanity. And then Victor Irving Jenkins says, how do you reconcile the concept of wholeness with the belief that the thing you observe, which is separate from me, changes just because I am observing it? Because I, the observer, am not changing, or am I? Great question.
That's a great question. Well, the idea there is that the reason, you know, the way a system changes when you observe it is because the outcome of a quantum mechanics measurement is dependent on the operator that you choose to measure with, like the measurement tool that you use. So there's a system, it has a sort of, you think it has an objective reality, But when you apply your measurement tool, your eyes or your ears or whatever it is that you're using, maybe a detector, it only has a certain number of states it can detect. So the outcome you get from the experiment is one of the states that the detector can detect. In other words, you've got a filter, you're looking at the world with a filter, and all you can see is one of the things that your filter can show you. You can't see something your filter can't let through. And so it is because of the connection between you and the thing you're measuring that it changes when you measure it. And it's not that it actually changes, it becomes one of the realities that you can actually picture or visualize.
Good
Awesome.
answer. Good answer.
Great. And Victor also asked, what's up with the guitar behind you?
I haven't sang in a few days because of my throat, but it's my guitar. I got this guitar when I graduated college. Can you hear it okay?
Yes, beautiful.
I'll play a quick song for my sister, for my daughter. It's the first song I wrote when she was born. I am you, all you feel, I feel too. You are the person that I dreamed about. Everything you do is amazing. Everything you do is real. You show me. You show me. You show me perfection. Perfection. Perfection.
Yeah.
Woo! Beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. So glad that Victor asked that question. Awesome. And let me see if there's anything else we have in the chat. Just Raghu says, absolutely. Glad that Victor asked that question. So is there anything else you would like to say, Sky? Maybe some vision of the future that you have that you'd like us to hold as well?
Well, for any of you who aren't musicians and just don't see how this might connect to your life, I've had experiences in business. I worked for a software company, and I've had experiences in politics where I met. I volunteer a lot. The reason that I volunteer for causes like voting rights, causes like climate change, is because I have seen in my life how when I make an effort, things change. And it can't just be me. It can't just be my personal life. It has to apply globally. And so I believe that when we try, life shows up with opportunities to move forward and advance. And I have a hat that I got the day that I met Barack Obama using these techniques to show up. I went to Reno to hand over a video that I made to one of the teams there. And it turns out he was there that weekend speaking. So I got to see him and shake his hand and hand him my video. So when we make an effort, life unfolds in a way on that tree, which brings us where we want to go. So we got to try.
We got to try. So how about your brother's band? How's it going? Or is it a band?
Yeah, it's going. It's coming along, and we don't have any gigs yet, but they've been, they were happening before COVID happened, and they're just reestablishing themselves.
And you said are you a part of the band?
Yeah, I'm a part of the band. And actually, since that time, though, I also did not expect this, but I was invited to play in another band, a Huey Lewis cover band, which is a total dream of mine because I grew up loving Huey Lewis. And then I went to see this Huey Lewis cover band play in October. I met them. I was like, I want to sit in with you guys sometime. And they said we got some gigs coming up. So now I've been playing with them. So it's like a dream unfolding for me. None of that was really on my radar at all back in September.
Wow. One thing I would like to say, I so loved your presentation, Sky. And I noticed that what I do that speeds my movement into greater wholeness is that I reach for the apples.
Mhm.
Mm.
So I reach for where I want to do, which is communion. It is Holy Communion that I reach for. And as I do that, it accelerates my fullness, my movement into fullness. And so that I brought that up because I hear that's what you are doing.
To the world around us, not just acting upon it, but actually connecting with it. We are inviting in that future. And so taking the actions, I love that you said communion, and I hear the word grace in there. You know, it's not control. It's not even influence. It's correlation and graceful connection.
Yes, beautiful. And Tala bin Hamid said, what a beautiful song. What a tribute to your daughter. Gorgeous.
I love the way
you, Tala.
you used your voice. You used your voice as similar to the way you use the guitar.
As an instrument.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
I have a musician question for you, Sky.
Yes.
As far as playing guitar, how do you find it different when you play in different groups? Because you know, you play one way, but then you get with a group that's playing different music, different styles. Does that make, I mean, is that a challenge for you, or you just love doing it?
I just love doing it. Yeah. I grew up doing so many different styles. I learned jazz and blues, and, you know, piano was my main instrument. I learned folk. And it's, you know, I think that's something that really turns me on about music, is that I'm playing with my brother's band, which is kind of like a eclectic mix of rock and funk. I'm playing with the Huey Lewis band, which is, you know, pop Huey Lewis from the 80s. And that brings me back to my childhood. I listened to Huey Lewis with my dad. So it's like I'm getting to relive my dad relationship, these good aspects of that. And feeling like I've got freedom to do that, because I can sort of bring out these different aspects. And it's like, I view myself as a whole as being all those things. And so the different types of music allow me to show up in different ways that I might not normally think I can. And I think there's this invitation that the world is constantly offering us to show up in ways that we don't think we can, but they are part of our wholeness.
Yeah.
Okay, so as timer, I'm afraid I have to spoil the party, and we are over time now.
Yeah, I didn't
And I
see any
just thank you
cards.
so much, Sky.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thanks for the questions, everybody. Great to talk
Thank
to you.
you. One more big round of applause for Sky and Dalton Isaacs. Woo-hoo!
So at this time, we need to take a 5-minute break. So that'll be coming back here at 11.
Everyone back?
Great. Okay. The next section is where we have the prepared speakers. Catherine, would you give us the time frame for the first speaker?
It's 5 to 7 minutes. And so this is the green. This is that 3 minutes. Yellow at 4 minutes. I mean, excuse me. Sorry about that. 5, 6, and 7.
Great. Thank you, Kathleen. Our first speaker, Raju, and his evaluator will be DTM, Tala.
Thank you so much. I will introduce the path, project, and the speech. The path is presentation mastery. The project is writing a speech with purpose, which is one of the relatively new projects that have been introduced into level 1. The purpose of this project is to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. The member completing this project is working to write a speech with purpose. The speech they create must be well-written and clearly focused. Their goal is to meet the express purpose statement with a well-executed speech. The title of the speech is Herd Mentality or Individuality, The duration is 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Great, thank you, Tala. Okay, Raghu Nada Raja, he is a IT engineer, a passionate and professional numismatist, aka coin collector. He has been now been a Toastmaster for 3 years. He has achieved 2 DTMs so far in Pathways. He has chartered 4 clubs so far. He is a strong advocate for core values of Toastmasters, and he shows his commitment by serving a community various roles. He has served in different ECM roles as club coach, club mentor. He is currently serving as area director for Area District 63, well, District 18. He calls himself a pneumatic Toastmaster, roaming around different countries of the world virtually. He has now visited about 600 clubs from 140 countries. He has chartered 4 clubs so far, and he is, okay, I'm repeating myself. He has served in different capacities. Now I would like to introduce our speaker, Raghu Nada Raju. Over to you, Raghu.
One fine day, a person started a WhatsApp group. Like in any other WhatsApp group, very few people knew each other in that group. On a Sunday morning at 9 a.m., somebody posted, "Happy birthday to you, Mr. Philip. May God give you everything that you need." And they follow the message. "Happy birthday to you, Mr. Philip. May you get everything that you need. May Almighty bless you with plenty of things that you need," and blah, blah, blah. Till 12 p.m. At 12 p.m., somebody posted condolence messages to one Mr. William in the group. "Condolences, Mr. William. You just came to know that your father's demise, and may God give you all the strength to face the situation." And the moment it all went gloomy in the WhatsApp group, people started pouring the messages. "May God give you the strength. May you get over this situation," and blah, blah, blah. At 2 p.m., somebody did something different. They reversed the order and they said, "Happy birthday, Mr. William. Condolences to you, Mr. Philip." At 4 p.m., somebody even went innovative. They created a video, poured all the emotions and body language in that. "Happy birthday, Mr. Philip." That continued. And people went on becoming creative, just copy pasting previous message, and based upon that building their own creativity. At 12 p.m., 2 people left the group. And all of us know who they are, don't we? This is a story that we can all relate with, or a story that we all are part of. Don't you think so? Herd mentality. Cut, copy, paste. In every walk of life, follow what others are doing. Mr. Philip's son is a mathematician and he's earning a lot. Okay, let's make our children mathematicians. Their son is an IT engineer. Why not our children become an IT engineers? Especially in Asian countries, this is a trend. Engineers, doctors, just because they are making millions of money in other part of the Western world. It happens in every walk of life. Whether it is where we lose ourselves as part of what, just waiting for somebody to validate us. Just because someone is following, we want to be part of the herd. And we lose ourselves. Religion, education, even in Toastmasters, don't we? All my childhood I spent in northern part of India, where I was chided because I was from southern part with a racial slur Madrasi. And I was put under this racial words that I wanted to be part of with them so much that I forgot my roots, forgot my mother tongue. And I realized that when in my 10th standard, a teacher asked a question, raise your hand if you are fond of your mother tongue. And I was the only child in the entire class who had his hand down. I wasted my entire childhood becoming part of a herd and lost all my roots, lost my own mother tongue. Even in Toastmasters, when I joined, I saw people rushing to the projects, come be level 1, level 2, level 3, DTM, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to rush to the project. Oh, I want level 1. Oh, that certificate you're giving. Oh, that's certificate for level 2 completion. I want to be chief judge because somebody wants to be. I want to be contest chair because somebody wants me to be test speaker. If not for my mentor who caught the reins and ensured that I followed the integrity in my project completion, I would have been another useless Toastmaster that would have left in a year. Even in religion, we just follow blindly what is others are following. Don't use a mind. That is causing the trouble across the world. Social media, just because someone posted there, oh, cut, copy, paste, and see what's happening, share it across. Don't even bother to check whether it is true or not. And then in investment, just because Mr. Talha invested some stock and he got millions of money, I also will go. I saw my father literally investing in one of the stock way back in 90s. That was $2 per each share. And guess what? Within 2 months, it was just pennies. Pennies. All the stock that went. In every walk of life, we get across things. Choice is ours. If you are part of an herd, you might be accepted, which we call it a society, a religious group, or anything. But you will slowly stop living your life and keep killing yourself, your individual call, your individual mentality. If we all have to be part of a herd, just look alike, God would have made robots and not humans. We got some meat here to think individually. While as a group, let us respect somebody's individuality and as an individual, think and then respond instead of just reacting and getting things done. Just because somebody accepts you or somebody has to validate you, just go, don't jump on it. As an individual, you will be chided, you will be made fun of, you will be put down, but still stand as an individual because you're born unique and you are the one only. Herd mentality or individuality is your choice. Toastmaster.
Great. Thank you for that. Would you now take 1 minute of silence to evaluate the speech?
Oh, I'm sorry. My audio was off. That was a minute.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. And now for our second speaker, Victor Irving Jenkins. His evaluator will be Teresa Cherry. Teresa, would you explain the objectives of his speech?
The objectives of Victor's speech, he is, this is a 5 to 7 minute speech. He is in level 3. And the objective of the speech is to inspire the audience. So he is to practice writing and delivering a speech that inspires us to action. Back to you.
Great, thank you. Victor Irving Jenkins uses an airplane crash to inspire us to choose English as our global language. He's a DTM. He finds himself exposed to many languages over the past few months. Let us hear why there ought to be a global language and why it must be English. The title, Why Globalize the English Language? Irving Jenkins, Victor Irving Jenkins, over to you.
Linda, pardon me, Linda or Isaac, I am not able to manipulate. I'm not able to spotlight our.
Oh,
now I
okay.
am. Now I am. Okay, here we are.
Okay,
Now,
great.
good. We're good.
Larry, we're going down. I know it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 seconds later, Avianca flight 052 crashed because the first officer was not able to tell the pilot or the air traffic controller that they were out of fuel. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, there were many contributing factors to that crash, and we will talk about those in a bit. But for now, I want you to know that 9 hours before, the flight took off from Medellin, Colombia, with Captain Larry Caviedes and First Officer Klotz en route to JFK in New York.
Victor,
First Officer,
Victor, would you get a little closer to your microphone? It's hard to hear you. Thank you. That's good.
Larry, we're going down. I know it. 5 seconds later, Avianca Flight 052 crashed in John F. Kennedy International Airport, killing all 258 souls, including the flight crew. 9 hours before, when this flight took off from Medellin, Colombia, it seemed like just another routine flight. However, this flight was anything but routine. Captain Larry Caviedes of Colombia and First Officer Klotz had never flown together before, but during this flight, Captain Larry Caviedes was bushed. He was tired. And that's one of the contributing factors to this airplane crash. We will talk about more as we go on. But why couldn't First Officer Klotz tell the captain? Why couldn't he tell air traffic control that he was out of fuel? You see, Klotz is Korean. And in Korea, he had lots of levels of communication to contend with. Korea has 6 levels of communication, and depending on who you're talking to, you communicate a certain way. And when you're talking to someone who is in an authority position, you have to mitigate what you're saying. You have to make sure that they are honored in their position. No such thing in American English. in American English, we don't care who you are. We got something to say. We're saying it whether you're the street sweeper or whether you're the President of the United States. It makes no difference to us. As this plane was leaving Medellin, Colombia, they spent an inordinate amount of time on the tarmac, circling the airport, waiting to take off, as opposed to just taking off when it was their turn. As they approached Kennedy Airport, it seemed Kennedy Airport was also crowded. So they flew around the airport, did several missed approaches is what they called it. When you go to land and you can't land, you have to try again. It's called a missed approach. 20 minutes before the plane crashed was the time for Klotz to say we're low on fuel and say it emphatically. But Klotz did not do that. 20 minutes before, it was his job to know that, but he didn't do it. That was the main reason for the crash. Caviatus was exhausted, was tired. That's another reason for the crash. You, me, may ask ourselves, why wouldn't you just say we're low on fuel? We'd have to go back to Klotz's childhood to begin to answer that question. When Klotz grew up in Korea, speaking to his teacher was an ordeal. Speaking to the man that owned the corner grocery store was an ordeal. Speaking to his parents was an ordeal. He had to address them just right. And as far as Klotz is concerned, he actually was doing his best to tell them what they needed to know the way he knew how to do it. In fact, another contributing factor was Larry Caviatus. He, towards the end of the flight, was so tired he couldn't exert the mental energy that it took to understand the English that the air traffic controllers was speaking to him and that Klotz was speaking to him. So much so he kept saying, please, repeat it to me. Say it to me in Spanish, please. Because Spanish was his native language. And the air traffic controller at JFK, they were notorious for being rude. And they were very good at what they did. But to someone like Klotz, their rudeness just tugged on his desire to be more respectful. 20 minutes before the flight, when they said to him, take a missed approach, and how are you doing with your fuel? Rather than saying, we are out of fuel and we need to land right now, Klotz said, okay, thank you very much. By the way, we are low on fuel. Hearing low on fuel is something that air traffic controllers hear all the time, and it means nothing to them. When Captain Caviatus said to Klotz, tell them we're in an emergency, Klotz did his best to tell them that they were in an emergency, but when the captain asked him, did you tell them that we were in an emergency? Klotz simply said, yes, I told them, sir. Yes, I told them, sir? Is that all you had to say? If Klotz had simply advocated for himself more and made it very clear to the air traffic controllers, none of them would have died. I believe the main problem was the lack of standard communication. Teamwork and communication are critical in an airplane cockpit, as it is in your life and my life. However, one way that we can standardize the communication is have everybody speak the same language. In fact, the organization that monitors the airline industry in 1944, they got together and decided that English would be the language. If you were a pilot, if you were a first officer, if you were a navigator, and you were in the airline industry, you spoke English. Not just English, but you'd speak proficient English. And the reason your English would need to be proficient is that you would know, if you understood proficient English, that there is no necessary for 6 levels of communication. You would know that there's no need to mitigate your speech. You would know airline industry jargon cold. And situations like what we just described would not have happened. I am a huge advocate of making English a global language. And particularly in the last several months, I'm an advocate of that. because I have been exposed to so many different languages doing things like this. In a Toastmasters meeting where everyone speaks different languages, come from different culture. I want to caution you, I'm not even talking about negating a person's culture. I'm not even talking about someone separating themselves from their culture. When you are with people in your culture, when you are with your own personal group, sure, that's fine. But in reality, in the real world we live in, where airplanes crash because people don't speak the right language, I say globalize the English language. I want to inspire you. If you're if you're at the moment not comfortable with your English, let's get more comfortable with it. Until next time, have a good time.
Great. Thank you for that, Victor. Now, would you take 1 minute to evaluate his speech?
That's 1 minute.
Great. Thank you, Kathleen. Our next portion, which is a fun portion for most of us, is table topics. And to take that program will be Cassandra Garabedian. Cassandra, would you take the podium?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to say our speeches were excellent. I really enjoyed them. So for this part of it, I would like to first get one of our guests to volunteer. Can I get any volunteers from our guests?
And the timing is 1 to 2 minutes. That's 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes.
And maybe one of our members should go, or at least a Toastmaster member first, because it's kind of intimidating to be first when you're a guest.
Let's try Mr. Jenkins. Victor, how about you, since you were excellent on your speech? In preparation for your speech, Victor, how did you envision yourself on stage today?
How did I envision myself on stage today is a really, wow, I just thought for a moment that I was muted. I was all shaken up. I envisioned myself on stage standing flat-footed, looking straight into the camera, delivering a matter-of-fact speech in an inspirational way. It's difficult to do a matter-of-fact speech in an inspirational way because you can come off as dogmatic, and dogmatism never win any converts. I am about inspiring people to step up to the plate and do something that they may or may not have done in the past, but they can see the benefit of doing it. When you think about the 5 seconds between the end of the communication and the plane crash, you got to feel what they're feeling, even if just for 5 seconds. If you learn more about the topic that I was talking about, the 6 levels of communication, there are other components in language that makes English the preferred language. And English is no better. I'm not saying English is the best language, but in terms of nuances, English has the fewest nuances. Like Korea, they got when like I'm talking to you right now in Korea, they got 6 levels. They got the formal deference level. They got the informal deference level. They got the blunt level. They got the familial level. They have the intimate level, and finally they have the plain level. What kid can navigate that? What adult can navigate that? And, you know, he should have had a deal like what I had when I was a boy. When I was a boy, if you were grown, then I had to do what you said. If you lived in my neighborhood and you told my parents that I didn't do something that you told me to do, that was game over. See, so that was pretty easy for me. I just did what I was told. And if you had a mustache or any other indication that you were grown, then I simply had to do what you said. So my vision for English is that everyone will embrace it and get rid of all the head trash surrounding globalizing English. Back to you, Madame Table Topics Master.
And thank you, Mr. Dickens.
Woohoo!
Okay, next. In the Bible, there are many verses about visions. One being in Joel chapter 2, verse 28, it states, "And it shall come to pass afterwards that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions." My question to you, let's see, Kathleen, have you had a vision? And if so, do you care to tell us about one of your visions?
Madam Table Topics Master, you just knock us out with your table topics questions. Oh my goodness. Well, I have one for you. I think I was about 13 and I was sitting in the sun and I had the scariest vision that has lasted my life. And it was the destruction of nature. It was the destruction, the collapse of the ecosystems that support all of the biosphere. I didn't know what it was, but that is what it was. And it scared me because it was so deep, so real. I knew that it wasn't an ordinary imagination. It came from someplace very powerful. And it has scared me into changing my behavior ever since, so that I refuse plastic wherever I go. I'm always apologizing to nature for our mistakes, as we're like clever children and we just don't see very far into the ramifications of our behavior. And then I have seen how big nature is, how big the solar system is. And I have learned to forgive us, and nature made the whole package. So let us just do our best and try to repair our mistakes. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
And thank you for that wonderful answer. And next, now would any of our guests, now that they see how it goes with table topics, would they like to volunteer?
And maybe Imran.
Imran?
Would Imran like to volunteer? I think he's one of our English language learners. If he's not there.
I'll give it a go.
Sometime, I think he may need to also remain quiet for the sake of his family.
Okay.
I'll give it a go.
You'll give it a go? Who is that?
Sky.
Sky. Okay.
Yay!
Great. Okay. Question is, we all know about global warming. What is your vision for our future generations, because we know with global warming, with all the pollutants in the water, just with our future generations, they're going to have big problems here. What do you envision for our future generations? What can you do personally?
I love that question. And I believe and feel for myself that what I can do is heal my own self, and that each of us has an obligation to ourselves to do what kind of work is meaningful for us to transform our own inner experience. So for me, I commit in myself to showing up and having conversations with people that are hard to have in my personal life, so that I'm not hiding behind a wall of secrecy or protection. I'm actually exposing myself to the people in my life that I care about. And in doing so, I'm actually opening up to other possibilities, other ways to relate to the earth, to relate to my community. And that's the kind of work that not only we can do, but it's the only work we can do, right? The only thing we can do is heal ourselves and build stronger connections with those in our lives that we care about. And I think from those changes, I envision a world where we do connect, we do see each other eye to eye, not because we understand each other, but because we accept each other.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'd like to thank all of you for participating. And
Thank you for the great questions.
Thank you. And back to you.
Great. Thank you for that, Cassandra. And now the most important part of Toastmasters, evaluations. And to evaluate the meeting and the speakers, I give you Linda Patton.
Thank you so much, Isaac. It's great to be here. And Kathleen, would you please announce the timing for the evaluations?
The evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes. So that's 2 minutes is green, 2.5 yellow, and 3 is red.
Thank you so very much. And we're going to begin with Tala Ben Hamid and his evaluation of Raghu. Tala, unmute yourself, please.
Thank you so much, Madam Journal Evaluator. Toastmaster Raghu, what an interesting presentation you made. It was so full of nuance, full of vision, and full of layers that is downright unfair for everyone to expect me to cover it in a measly 3 minutes, but I'll try my best. First of all, your purpose, to question our approach in thinking or in things we do. I believe you achieved the purpose very well. You made us question so many things that we do in life, consciously or unconsciously. And through the stories that you told us, you let us experience firsthand that sometimes our minor remarks or behaviors can go a long way in changing some people's lives for the worse or for the better. So you started very strongly, you had a smile, and I could see your eyes twinkle during the starting portion of the speech. You had a very solid connection with all of us. I, for one, did not feel at all that I was looking at you through a screen. For me, you were standing right there. The level of connection, the eye contact was mesmerizing. You had great expressions on your face and in your voice, and you presented a great portrait of brown parents about how we want our children to go this way and that without for the moment considering what do they want to do, what will make them happy. Instead, we just consider what will make us happy. You made a great approach to the camera when you said, don't we? And that was a lovely thing to do, lovely use of the camera. You had a very heart-touching story about racism. You had great variations in pace, and you were perfectly centered within the frame throughout the speech, which is not an easy thing to do. Some improvement areas. First of all, I was heartbroken by your title. It was totally unimaginative. Knowing you, you could have come up with something like the Pied Piper and the Mice, or something representing herd mentality, rather than being so ham-fisted with the message of your speech. Leave something in suspense for us to discover rather than conveying it through the title. You could have amplified the sadness at places in your speech when you talked about disowning your mother tongue. Just because of peer pressure, you could have appeared sadder about it. And you said something that I absolutely do not like, which is, this is a story. Please do not tell us this is a story. Instead, suck us into the story. We don't need to know this is a story. So overall, you delivered an amazing speech. You met your objectives, a little bit amplification of sadness when it was required, and a little bit shorter conclusion, more direct conclusion would have made it even better. Over to you, Madam Journal Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Paula. That was a beautiful evaluation. And now Teresa Cherry will give us her evaluation of Victor Jenkins.
Oh, you think the applause is going to give you some slack in this presentation or this evaluation? Well, Victor, always such a pleasure to hear your presentation. You have such strong presentation skills and an imposing, strong presence on stage. I particularly liked your standing for the speech, as opposed to most of us that end up being talking heads. And your story, and particularly the beginning of the countdown, was very, very strong and attention-getting. Winding your point to globalize the English language, particularly for air traffic, was brilliant. Overall, the speech was very, very well structured, and you're very comfortable and well spoken. I know you engaged the audience. What you might want to do as part of your storytelling is to explain the different levels in the Korean culture for communication. I learned so much during table topics when you shared that with us. So I would try to perhaps incorporate the declarations from the Korean co-pilot with what an American English person would have said, and talk about the comparison between his culture and communication and what we would have said. Also, the Spanish captain needed perhaps more English or a good night's sleep. Further, I would challenge you to bring the story back as a final quote, to just say, this is how English could have saved, or the globalization of English could have saved 250 lives. All in all, though, I'm with you. English is a much simpler language, and I'm not a linguist, so it would be very nice if the world spoke English and took on our mores. Thank you so very much for your presentation. It was quite brilliant.
Woo!
All right, thank you, Teresa. And thank you, Tala, so very much for your insightful evaluations. Kathleen, would you tell us, as the timer, the over-under report?
Everyone was on time. We had Victor at 2 minutes 15 for his evaluation. And, oh, excuse me, no, that's for his table topics message. And I'll just say that everyone was very well within the time parameters.
That's very good. It shows what professional Toastmasters we are in everything we do. Thank you, Kathleen, so much. Cynthia, as the grammarian, how well did we use the word of the day, vision?
We used it really well. I think everyone that spoke said it at least once, and that was fabulous. I didn't notice many ums and ahs and ers and that sort of thing. You may have said them, but I didn't hear them. So I think we did really great today. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Fantastic. Thank you, Cynthia, so very much. I think vision, this going into March, is a phenomenal piece to talk about, because so often we get through the rush of the beginning of the holidays and we forget about, oh, I need to set a vision, and I name my year as well. And one of these days I will tell you what it is. I do have to say that all of the speakers were, as expected, phenomenal. As DTMs, we do not expect them to fumble, stumble, and bumble, and they did not. They had well-crafted speeches that had very deep meanings for us as part of the humankind. I did enjoy both of them. I loved the evaluations on both of them. I thought Teresa and Tala picked up exactly the points that I would have picked up if I had been evaluating them. And they delivered them in a way that was kind and yet, and effusive in some cases, but in addition, the things for them to work on were very clear, very obvious, and will enhance both of those speeches very well. I also thought our keynote was fantastic. And I have a quote from him that I thought we all should hang on to, which is, when we make an effort, life lights up with possibilities. And that, I think, is the way to look at what's my vision? What are those possibilities? And with that, I have to say it's been a great meeting, and I will pass it back to our BPE, Kathleen Phil.
I was looking over the accomplishments that the members of our club have achieved in the past 6 months or a year, and was just very happy, very proud of our group. I didn't compile anything, so I will send out congratulations to the group through Easy Speak. And that will give us practice for logging in, opening the email from Easy Speak, logging in, and navigating around. And that will get you to the agenda for the next meeting. And we are going to be on a track to be moving and grooving toward marvelous TED Talks, reaching for that apple of Holy Communion to our greater community. And with that, I want to get back to the sweetest portion of our meeting, the takeaways and chocolates. And once again, I'll put in the link to learn more about how we can maybe cooperate with Sky Isaac Nelson.
I guess it's back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Kathleen. Is it back to me? Am I
Yes.
next?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah,
Okay.
back to you,
Next.
Bob.
Oh, I didn't know my name was Bob. Oh, wow, 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 wow. What a meeting. And Sky is just, what a treat to have Sky. And this is the second time that we've had him at Leaders Worldwide. We had him in the evening session, and this time we've had him in the afternoon session. And he is just magnificent, really, really magnificent. So connect with him at his website. And let me read it off real quick at synchronicity-institute.com. Again, synchronicity-institute.com. And that's Sky Nelson.
Thank you. It's a high bar.
It's a high bar. Yes. Well, it's time for us to, in a minute, it's time for us to do takeaways and chocolate. And I'd like to ask your experience. But first, I have an announcement to make. Is that okay? Sky?
Yeah. Great.
Okay, I'll get back to you in just a sec. So thank you, Kathleen. I really appreciated that you included Easy Speak. And I also included that in the email that I sent out to all of you about the dues being dues and how to pay those and that sort of thing. But also to remind you that we're getting ready to create a team that will organize our TED event, find out the rules and find out how we want to do it and how many speakers we want and how long we want to speak and everything like that. But first, we have to get used to using Easy Speak. Can't stress that enough because we want our meetings to run really smoothly. And basically, we want to just tap the bar and make it move. We don't want to have to be grinding and grunting like we have been doing as the officer team. I know Victor and especially Kathleen have been working really hard. And I've also been working on that team. And I haven't been able to be a president because I'm in the VPE team every week. So we need to get me off of the VPE team and you onto the VPE team. So make sure to respond to Easy Speak and just answer their questions, yes or no. We'll take both. We'll take either one, but we just want an answer. Yes, I will attend the meeting, or no, I won't attend the meeting. Or yes, I will take up that role, or no, I can't take up that role. Either one's fine. We just want you to answer. And if we can get you all answering on a regular basis, we can move off and do other things. Because Kathleen's going to probably help us with the TEDx event because she's the VPE, and Victor's going to help us. And there's going to be lots of people to help us. But we want to be able to do everything else smoothly and easily, fill our agendas, no problem. And then we can know we can do our TEDx event. We also have coming up the District 57 Speakers Bureau. And they have been promising that it's going to be ready. They've got a new team on board, and it looks like it's hopefully going to be ready within the next month or two. They do have a pilot program going for about 6 people to join. So I'm going to ask her how many people from Leaders Worldwide can join. And that pilot program, you're going to put up your, what you speak about and the one video, 5 to 7 minute video that you have. So if you have one that you like, start collecting it. Also, there's a place to put, I think, a speaker sheet or a bio so that you can start getting speaker gigs, and you'll be in there first. And the thing is, until we have a search engine on that search, the people who apply in the pilot program will go up first. So you'll be the first people that people will see to ask to speak at their workshops and their club meetings. And these speeches can be anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes up to 20, 30 minutes, maybe even more. I've spoke at Toastmasters clubs for 90 minutes doing a workshop. So it's just about putting out what you have to speak on and how long you can speak about it and what you have to offer. So I'm going to find out from the new leader of that project how many can go on to it and see if we can offer it to you in Leaders Worldwide. It will be first come, first serve. Okay, great. Any questions on that? Let me just take questions if you have them. You can unmute your mic or raise your hand or put it in the chat. And Kathleen, please let me know if there's anyone raising their hands. And also for this next section, which is our takeaways and chocolates, virtual chocolates. And Sky, I don't know if you remember, but we toss you virtual chocolates that have no sugar, no calories, no detrimental effects on the earth for responding.
I
So how
will eat
how
them.
did you?
Yum.
Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah, and if folks want to stay in touch with me and my work, I've got the link that you put in there. Thank you so much for putting it in there. I have a workshop I lead called Wholeness, Synchronicity, and Flow. The next one is happening Sunday, March 6th. That's this coming Sunday, 4 o'clock Pacific time. And then I have a really cool follow-up on an event we did last month, happening again on April 12th, with an environmentalist and an intuitive healer and myself, a physicist. So it's like a physicist, an environmentalist, and an intuitive healer walk into a bar. What happens next? And that's a free webinar. Or actually, this one's more of a workshop, so we'll go in depth. So that's
Is the
April
one on
12th.
Sunday free too?
The one on Sunday is it's a sliding scale, anywhere from $10 to $45.
And then the free workshop is on April 12th.
April 12th, yeah.
Okay. And if you're a member of our WhatsApp group, I can post that in there. It's for our non-members who are members of our WhatsApp group. You can post that as well.
Oh, great.
Both
Yeah,
of those.
definitely do that.
Yeah, let people know what you're doing.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Yeah,
Great.
awesome. I'll post that in the chat for you and then also in your text.
Great. So you can find me at synchronicityinstitute.com. Thank you so much again.
And what did you think of the meeting?
I just loved it. I love the passion and the energy that everybody brings, and the very thought-provoking speeches on standing up for your own beliefs and who you are, and on the importance of advocating for yourself. Both of those touch me personally.
Beautiful, beautiful. And would you like a virtual chocolate?
Yes. Thank you.
Here it comes. Woo, 1, 2, 3. Woo!
Dark is my favorite.
Oh, awesome. And Raghu, I would love the Nomad Toastmaster. I would love to hear your thoughts and what you thought of the meeting.
It's 2:11 a.m. in India, and it's about 1:41 a.m. in Pakistan, or neighboring country, and I have Tala bin Hamid here. So if two people are in the meeting from the midnight, that must be something in the meeting, certainly, right? I love the meeting, the energy, the way that you follow, and love your energy, Cynthia, that you always are on the top to get audience and get members for the club in the way that the DTM showdown goes. It is have some job every meeting. This is the first time here. I missed to join here a couple of months back, I think 2 to 3 months. Then I'm glad that I made it now, and I'm happy. Now always DTM Tala, he excels at the feedback. He gives the candid feedback, but ensures to give it with the smooth chocolate, the virtual chocolate that you are talking about is already given to me by Tala. I'm going to chew it and then get that part of candid feedback and absorb it and try to mend my speech based upon that. Thank you for giving me opportunity. And I'm sure I'll keep coming here, learn something, maybe in future, remember to. Thank you.
Great. We'd love that. Absolutely love that. We could use more and more DTMs. Great. And would you like a virtual chocolate?
Absolutely. Second chocolate.
1, 2, 3. Woo! Great. Great. And let's see. Are any of our other guests here? I think they've gone for the day.
I think they've all gone away.
It's late. It's late for them, especially in Asia. Awesome. I would like to hear from Victor. Victor, you were an amazing speaker, always. But that speech today, that was a winning world champion speech. Are you competing this year? You didn't compete in our contest, but are you competing elsewhere?
No.
No?
No.
Ah, was world champion. World champion.
Well, thank you. That's a very nice thing to say. I appreciate you saying that. I've been actually doing a project. My other Toastmasters Club, Power Talkers, every Saturday morning, me and a guy who has extensive experience in sales, he's been teaching me. That's about the third time I've done that speech with the changes that he recommends. And I still don't think it's perfected yet. But we want to every Saturday morning at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, we're doing a live broadcast, and he is open and unbiasedly giving me tips on how good it is and how good it isn't. And anybody who's a speaker knows that when you work a few and try to get your speech together and you delivering it and you think, wow, this is it, and then somebody rips it apart, well, you got to have a strong stomach in order to tolerate that. But the good news is if you can persevere, you will improve. It's sort of like a snake. I don't know if you know this, but a snake sheds its skin periodically, and when it sheds its skin, it's more vulnerable to attack while its skin is shed until it grows back. But once the skin grows back, it's way better than the skin that is shed. So using that similar analogy, you can be a much better speaker if you persevere and take the suggestions, take the comments of others.
Beautiful. Love that. And I'll be talking with you because I have a non-native English speaker that's looking for a Saturday morning or afternoon club to join. So
Okay.
I will definitely be talking with you about that. Would you like a virtual chocolate?
Sure, I'd like to have a virtual chocolate, but I caution you, I'm pretty chocolate already, so if you want a chance.
It can only make you sweeter. Here you go. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh.
Okay, sister. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. And let's see. Talha, I know it's very late for you, but what did you think of the meeting? I loved your evaluation, by the way. It was absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much, DTM Cynthia. And well, what could I say? I had a fan moment the moment I learned that Sky Nelson will be here. I couldn't risk missing this meeting at any cost, and I did not regret it. Though, as always, I don't know whether I have a marriage or a home any longer. I will go back and find out. But it was amazing, and I would especially like to appreciate Victor's speech. It was. It was a whole new way of looking at things, how language can really save lives. I did not consider that aspect of having a global language. It's not about English or any other language. It's about having a global language. And that was really, really a wake-up call for all of us. And it was a reminder that we need to communicate better. We have a lot of grounds to cover in that respect. So it was all in all a thrilling meeting once again. And thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, Madam President.
Awesome. And that crash was significant. The FAA took that very seriously for all of Korea. And I believe they grounded the planes until they did a training for all of them Korea in how to respond. So that people
they actually had an extensive project that lasted for months where they looked at all crashes. And I mean, they broke it down into a little bit, into every component to see what one component or what one thing that they could do that would help them. But fortunately, Korea's back on the up and up now. They're a fantastic airline, and anybody should feel proud and feel safe to fly Korea Airlines.
Maybe even safer than others because they had to learn their lesson. They grew that they shed their skin and they grew it back. Great. And Talha, thank you so much. Would you like a virtual chocolate?
All of them.
All of them. A whole box, right? Okay, here it comes. It's kind of heavy. I'll send it over the airwaves. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh! You got to share some with your wife. Believe me, that will go a long way.
Yeah, that's why I requested a box. So yeah, I'm certainly going to do that.
I don't know how convinced my wife would be by virtual chocolate, just to gotta be honest.
Got to get some real chocolate.
Yeah, get some real chocolate.
Raghu says it's a bribe. I will tell you, one of the fondest memories I have of my husband was feeding me chocolate in the bathtub when I was upset and sick and just fed up. And I tell you, everything was forgiven at that point. It was real chocolate, though. Awesome. And Linda,
Yes,
looking
ma'am.
so lovely today in your regal purple and gold. Woo!
Thank you. Yes, I know. My husband's sitting over in the chair listening to all of you. Yeah, this is Nyla. She goes with me everywhere that I speak professionally or just for fun. And she's been a great help to me. This meeting, Victor, your speech was so spot on. You know, we look at crashes and what happens and why they happen, and each, as much as it's a disaster to happen, it also is a launching off point for the next level of customer care and safety and that kind of thing. And Raghu, I so appreciated your speech as well. There's so much in communication that gets mixed up because of the levels of communication that we have to go through. And I just felt really empowered to be able to use my language in such a way that others will understand what I have to say and that kind of thing. Sky, what can I say? I'm still reeling about the quote I took out of your speech, which was, when I make the effort, life lights up the possibilities. And I think it's simplistic in its message, but it's profound in its results. Thank you, all of you, for your presentation.
Amazing, amazing. And would you like a chocolate?
I would, but it has to be 100% cacao with a little bit of caramel in it.
Ooh, yummy. Here it comes, healthy and yummy. 1, 2, 3, whoosh. Awesome,
Thank you.
awesome. And I know Rosemary's busy, so she probably can't make a comment. But I really wanted to cover everybody because we had a small meeting today, which is really great. I think the only one we haven't heard from is Miss Kathleen Peel.
I had a beautiful time. I did love the intimacy of the small group so that every facet sparkled. In gallery view, I was looking at something like a hologram. In other words, I was seeing a whole mind with different faces, different facets. And I loved going to that whole mind and sharing, being among. And I also want to say what a pleasure it was last night. I had introduced the speaker and the evaluator together. I have the pleasure of introducing the speaker and the evaluator, and I think you will like one another because you're both multiple DTMs and overachievers. And here's the technical stuff and so on. And I get a message back that Talha and Raghu are best friends from way back. They're so appropriately attuned. It made me very happy. And so I'm very, very happy that I get to be part of their life. I also very much appreciated Teresa's and Talha's evaluations. Evaluations are very important, as Isaac said, and they were done beautifully. They were really done helpfully, precisely. They had a flow to them. They enlightened me, the listener. And so I was just very proud of our club and very happy that our beautiful Rosemary Sweeney was interested enough to listen in while she's working.
Beautiful, beautiful. And what would you, I know you don't usually, you like fruit, right? Would you?
Oh yeah, what fruit? Dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit. I love it. I first tasted dragon fruit when I was in China. I'm so glad we now have it here in the US. Here comes some dragon fruit, nice and juicy, roaring to you. 1, 2, 3, woo! Great. And I missed 3 people. There was a whole nother page, which I have Teresa and Cassandra and Isaac, and I would love to hear your thoughts as well. Teresa.
Well, it's wonderful to have experienced the main room. There are several of us who have been in the Speechcraft breakout room, so we really have not, or at least I have not experienced the main room as much as I would have liked. So I'm happy to go back into Speechcraft, but look forward to participating in the main room in the future.
Beautiful. And would you like a chocolate?
Oh, sure. I would like one of those that Linda is particularly
100%
I mean, it sounds wonderful.
Caramel?
The highest cacao with a little bit of caramel.
Yes. Oh, healthy and delicious. 1,
Absolutely.
2, 3.
Thank
Woo!
you. Yum.
Yum, yum. And Cassandra, so glad you're here.
Yes, I always learn something from everyone. I mean, today was just perfect. Eat both sides, from the speaker to the evaluator, put them together and it's just voila.
And we loved your table topics. Great, great questions. Very visionary questions. Love it.
Well, thank you. Like
Thank
I
you
said,
so
it's
much.
always nice. Always nice.
Beautiful, beautiful. And would you like a chocolate?
Oh, sure. How about milk chocolate with something with a nugget inside? Yeah.
With a nugget. Ooh, nougat.
Nougat.
Ooh.
Yes,
Yum.
yes.
Yum, yum, yum. 1, 2, 3. Woo! A tasty treat.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Isaac.
Thank you. Well, I enjoyed the meeting and I really appreciate the team effort, because me being not really proficient at being Toastmaster, I liked how people just took over spots that I missed out on, like introducing the timer and in between. I love the speeches. And the thing about Toastmasters for me is just hearing people talk about their life, their stories, their, things that they're interested in. So it was a great meeting and I look forward to the next one.
Awesome. Which is in 1 week, March 7th in the evening, 5:30 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Will be Pacific Standard Time for just a few more weeks until March 13th. And then we put our clocks forward an hour. So we'll be 12 hours different from Pakistan instead of 13, and 11 and a half hours difference from India instead of 12 and a half. So it'll be a little bit easier for our Asian members and guests to participate. And would you like a chocolate, Mr.
Yes,
Isaac?
I'm going to actually break protocol and ask for a dark almond chocolate. instead of my
Dark.
normal peach cobbler.
Okay. You want both?
No, I'm saying I'm not going to ask for the cobbler today. I'm just going to ask for the chocolate.
Dark chocolate almond. And actually, that's what my husband fed me in the bathtub. Here's a key to those of you men. Now, you should never say this is for PMS, but dark chocolate almonds are the best cure for PMS. So keep them handy. They have lots of magnesium, great chemical, I don't know what it is, a chemical or a vitamin, whatever, but they have magnesium in it that raises and boosts the mood. So dark chocolate almonds, great cure for PMS and any hormone issues, maybe even for pregnancy. I don't know. Right. Here it goes. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh.
Thank you.
Oh, I saw your hands open big. That was a big chunk of chocolate almond.
Oh, yeah.
Fabulous. Well, we're right on time. Love that we got to share with all of you a little bit longer today, and was a marvelous meeting. We'll see you next week in the evening time, March 7th at 5:30 p.m. Bye-bye for now.